Good afternoon, dear friends. Ruslan Belov here with you. I know everyone loves good news, and this is even evident from the view statistics. A week ago, when we were liberating the Kursk region at a good pace, the views were around 80,000, sometimes even over 60,000 per episode. Now, however, when there are certain problems and we talk about them, the views have dropped sharply, almost by half. I think it's clear that this is a defensive reaction. Not everyone wants to see, watch, or know about negative news. But we continue to speak the truth as it is, so we will keep analyzing the situation on the front lines, discussing both successes and certain problems. So let's open the map together. Yesterday, the Ministry of Defense reported that there were no crossings of the Belgorod region border. Well, in fact, you could say they lied, or you could say they didn't lie, because yesterday there were no crossings, they were prevented. That is, attempts were made to breach the border, but they were pushed back. However, over the course of yesterday, the situation changed. As you can see on the maps now, there are border crossings. Let me remind you that the Ukrainian armed forces launched an attack to enter the Belgorod region 2 days ago. At that time, 5 waves of attacks were recorded, and all of them were repelled. This included an attack by an entire tank column of the Ukrainian armed forces, which lost 6 tanks and dozens of armored vehicles by the end of the first day of the offensive. Their main goal on the first day was to enter Demidovka. They failed to do so. Yesterday they continued their attacks. In the morning there were 2 waves, again in the same direction, towards Demidovka, a border village located about 200 meters from the border. But the result was the same. They lost a tank, a mine-clearing vehicle, and several other armored vehicles. It was then that the Ukrainian armed forces decided to abandon attacks using heavy equipment and switch to a different tactic. What tactic? Attacking with infantry only, without the use of armored vehicles. This tactic has started to yield the Ukrainian armed forces their first success. Here's the situation. They transport infantry to the border by vehicles, then the infantry dismounts. The vehicles clear the path by removing Dragon's Teeth anti-tank obstacles and mines, and then the infantry moves through these passages. In other words, heavy equipment is no longer entering the Belgorod region because a lot of it has been destroyed, so they decided to abandon this tactic. You might ask, where do they get so many soldiers, so many reserves, if they were defeated in the Kursk region? The answer is actually simple. They are conscripting everyone. Mobilization is very intense. Every day, a huge number of videos of forced mobilization appear online. I'm sure you've seen many clips and videos of casualties, but tell me, have you seen videos of killed Ukrainian armed forces soldiers who are women? Female assault troops of the Ukrainian armed forces? What do you think of that? Yesterday, such a video appeared online. In short, a Ukrainian assault group was destroyed, and among the dead were female assault troops. Of course, such a video cannot be published here. So the Ukrainian armed forces have soldiers, and if needed, they even recruit women. That's why they keep pushing. Now for the specifics. There are 3 areas that the Ukrainian armed forces are attacking. The first is Demidovka. This is where the most intense and fierce fighting is taking place, and the main focus has been on this area over the past 2 days. The second area is Kurakhovo. Here, the Ukrainian armed forces have achieved nothing. They've had no success. The third area is the vicinity of the village of Prelesye. Ukrainian assault troops have taken cover in the forest plantations on the outskirts, about half a kilometer from the village. They are bringing in more assault troops and accumulating resources there. However, I'll say right away that there's no need to panic. This is not Kursk 2, as many are writing in the comments. Why? Well, it's enough to just look at the map, and I'll show you clearly how this differs and why it's incomparable. Again, I read the comments and see people starting to say, they missed it again, Kursk 2, what a horror, and so on. But this is actually complete nonsense. Either this is being done deliberately to stir up fear, or the people writing this simply don't understand the situation and don't realize how completely different these situations are. Let me show you clearly why. How much time has passed since the Ukrainian armed forces attempted to break into the Belgorod region? 2 days. What have they achieved? At the moment, they control this small zone. They haven't entered any village, neither Demidovka, nor Kurakhovo, nor Prelesnoye. They are only hiding in the forest belts, where they are being targeted by artillery and FABS, airdropped bombs. So, although American and Ukrainian cartographers are drawing this as a controlled zone, it's hard to call it that. If you're hiding in the forest, trying to survive under aerial and artillery strikes, and that's called your control, then fine. Let's say this is the Ukrainian Armed Forces controlled zone in the Belgorod region. How big is it? I counted this morning, about 6 square kilometers. So how can many people say this is definitely Kursk too? Do you want to see the map of the Ukrainian Armed Forces invasion of the Kursk region? Let's take a look. Here, we switch to this map and scroll back to August. Let's start with the 6th, and we need to look at the situation 2 days later. That is, the 8th, exactly 2 days from the 6th to the 8th. As you can see, this blue zone marks the line of contact in the Kursk region 2 days after the Ukrainian Armed Forces invasion. By that time, they already controlled over 200 square kilometers. So what do we have? 6 square kilometers after 2 days here, and over 200 square kilometers after 2 days there. Are they the same? Of course not. Now that we've clarified this point, let's discuss the prospects of the Ukrainian Armed Forces offensive in the Belgorod region. What are they trying to achieve? What is their ultimate goal? Let's start with the latter. The goal, as I've already mentioned, is the urban-type settlement of Krasnaya Yaruga. From there, they will attempt to break through to the highway leading to Belgorod. How realistic is this? In my opinion, the Ukrainian armed forces have zero chances here. There is no collapse of the front, as there was in the Kursk region. The Ukrainian armed forces are running into a solid defense, losing a lot of equipment and personnel. Yes, of course, they can calmly throw women into battle, that's clear. But now, having lost a significant amount of valuable equipment, the Ukrainian armed forces have changed their tactics. Now it's only infantry groups, and it's important to understand that you can't get far with just infantry. You can't make major breakthroughs on foot. Why did they succeed in the Kursk region in such a short period back in early August 2024 in taking control of such a huge territory? Precisely because the defense crumbled and the Ukrainian armed forces attacked with equipment. And on that equipment, they simply drove forward without encountering resistance. That's why they managed to create such a large bridgehead. Here, it's different. The equipment isn't moving. The equipment is being destroyed on the approach to the defensive line. This line here is the defensive line, Dragon's Teeth and minefields, only infantry groups, and again, you can't get far with just infantry. Yes, right now they are entrenched in the forest belts near Demidovka and Prelesye. I think today they will attempt assault actions. They will try to gain a foothold on the outskirts of these villages and then continue to throw assault troops into the fray to push further. The Russian army is ready. This was demonstrated in the first days of the offensive. And although, yes, the Ukrainian armed forces managed to break into the Belgorod region, they did so with great difficulty, and they control only 5 to 6 square kilometers, which for the front is, however cynical it may sound, nothing more than a statistical error. In any case, we'll keep watching. All the details of any developments in the Belgorod region will be in the next video. As for the Kursk and Sumy regions, there are no significant changes here. That is, I simply can't tell you anything new, because there's nothing to report. But in the Kharkiv region, there has been a success. Russian troops crossed the Oskol River several days ago in this area, and yesterday they took control of the village of Krasny Pervy. This is a significant success because it allows for the encirclement of the village of Kamyanka, which is currently the only obstacle to fully connecting the attacking groups into a single bridgehead. And by the way, just for reference, the Russian bridgehead on the right bank of the Oskol River is already larger than the Ukrainian Armed Forces Kursk bridgehead, or rather, what's left of it. Moreover, this bridgehead on the right bank of the Oskol continues to grow, while the Ukrainian Armed Forces bridgehead in the Kursk region continues to shrink. That's how it is. Next, the Kurakhovo direction. Here, a Ukrainian assault group, as a result of a counterattack from the village of Bogatyr, managed to enter and take control of several houses on the western outskirts of the neighboring village of Constantinople. This information is confirmed by footage published by the Russian side showing the attack on advanced Ukrainian positions using FPV drones. In turn, Russian troops expanded their control zone north of Constantinople, advancing up to 1 kilometer and thus approaching the eastern outskirts of the village of Rozliv. Additionally, according to reports from some sources, Russian units have made significant progress north of the village of Andreevka, along the Kurakhovo and Stavkova Balka valleys, toward the border with the Dnipropetrovsk region. But there is no ground confirmation of this yet. Next, the Pokrovsk direction. Heavy clashes continue on the approaches to Pokrovsk. Russian assault groups managed to regain control of the northwestern part of the village of Shevchenko. This information is confirmed by footage published by the Russian side showing the destruction of a Ukrainian armed forces group attempting to retreat along the T-0515 highway toward the village of Zverev. Next, the Toretsk direction. Here, Russian assault groups advanced up to 2 kilometers northwest from the village of Krimska toward the territory of the Delaevsky Pond and the former children's camp Beryozka. This information is confirmed by footage published by the Ukrainian side showing an attack on advanced Russian positions using FPV drones. At the same time, east of Dzerzhinsk, Russian troops took control of the remaining part of the eastern bank of the Seversky Donets-Donbass Canal from the side of the Mayorskaya railway station, as well as advancing up to 2 kilometers on the western bank of the canal from the side of the village of Druzhba. This information is confirmed by objective control footage of Russian armored vehicles moving here under enemy FPV drone strikes. Thus, the area of occupied territory in this sector of the front amounted to about 7 square kilometers. On the South Donetsk, Chasiv Yar, Siversk, Kupyansk, and Kharkiv directions, there are no visible changes. Well, that's all for today on the situation at the front. I'll say goodbye to you now, wishing you a good workday. See you tomorrow.